Hey, this is Rick Borden. I'm starting a new safe to fail experiment as a follow up on some of the topics that I'm really interested in, and one of which is I've always been fascinated by what our minds are capable of and what we use in our brain. And I never really started doing research on that and the different components of that, and really unpacking the many disciplinaries out there that it affects: science, complex adaptive systems, psychology, physiology, neuroscience, education, accelerated learning. There's just so many topics and areas that a person can explore through meditation, through the power of the mind, and through exercising the brain so that we have more control over our thoughts, our actions, which will help our executive decision making, our sense making, and allow us to perform in ways that perhaps we're not even aware of that are possible. Hence, this safe to fail experiment. So, what you see on my head is a Muse, M-U-S-E. It is a real-time neurofeedback, and it has several ways that it lets us as users know how it's working. One of the meditations that I've been using lets us know if we have a racing mind or a busy or an active mind by the sound of rain, which could sound relaxing, and it really kind of is. But what that's letting me know is that my thoughts are racing, and when I say racing, it's like we're just going and 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 thinking and thinking and thinking. I think you get my point. If you know me, you know how I think and the way my natural way of being is. But what I've been doing now, after about 10 days, I'm going to level things up, and I'm going to start doing safe to fail experiments and journaling and producing video and producing content with that. As I do different things throughout the course of my day, I want to learn what my mind is thinking, what my mind is doing. Actively engaged? Am I relaxed? Am I all over the place? And this real-time neurofeedback allows that to happen. It records. And when you get in a really calm state, you hear birds, or you'll hear a chirp, and then you'll hear one or two more chirps, and then it'll sound like you're just sitting in a field surrounded by a woods and flowers, and you just hear these birds just sounding happy and communicating, and it gives me a sense of love and peace, like a sense of real peace and calmness, and just being. In a different topic, I will post content on topics called self as I am. And the I am is like just present now. What is happening now? It incorporates mindfulness, prayer, meditation. And from a neuroscience perspective, it will incorporate the mind. And what I'm doing is taking a sample, using myself as an ethnographer, and perhaps maybe an autoethnography research study, depending on what I find. And what I find, how does it compare to what the literature is saying? And then how can I tie what I've experienced and with what the literature says, and where's a gap? Is there something that can be further explored based on a previous research? What are other authors and researchers saying about all of the content that is out there and under the different categories? As a vet, with also having a concussion from the military, that I deal with, understanding and learning more about that space, that mind space, as well as that would study, say, ADD, ADHD. This kind of research would explore and try and get a better understanding with really any kind of mental disability, anxiety, PTSD, people, like I said, ADD, ADHD, people that are bipolar, OCD, anything. This research will, I think, help scientists understand what's going on. So that's what I'm looking to do. So right now, I am getting ready to embark upon one of my favorite activities, and it's watering. It's going through and walking through the garden that we created, or we are creating, and soil here at the Urban Farm, which is one of my doctoral artifacts, one of my Dell artifacts. We've been doing some really cool stuff, and it's really, I hate to use the word really because it's not proper. It has changed my perspective on what happens and what it takes to create good soil, from desert, from like nothing, to a rich, vibrant soil that has bacteria and life and an ecosystem that allows other things to thrive in it, to the point where it starts getting so healthy and thriving so much that it now starts forming life in the shape of night crawlers, in the shape of grubs, and also you'll have threats. So you constantly have to be looking here at the Urban Farm. And these are things that I'm thinking of as I'm walking through the farm tonight, is what awarenesses am I seeing? What tells, what weak signals on plant life, soil disturbance, a tree life? Is a tree leaf curling? Is it turning yellow? Does the tree look under stress? And these are things I check out every single day in the farm. And we have experiments with watering, with light, with heat, again with threats, chemicals that they can be exposed to just by nature. And then we're documenting what we're doing to the soil, from water content. We'll incorporate technology. We're also in the space of researching tech-enabled urban farms, and the consumer experience between us and our ecosystem. We're developing our social capital, creating a really neat space for people to come in and collaborate with us in our online channels, where we communicate with our ecosystem and our network. So there's a lot going on, and we're going to now incorporate the brain muscle to further develop that, like we work out, lifting weights, running, jogging, prayer, meditation. These are all things that improve our well-being, our health. And you can put that in a lot of different categories. Emotional intelligence, self-care, self-love, our relationship with God and Jesus, or whatever spiritual focus you have, whether it's religion, other religions. Doesn't matter. This is an individual's walk. Me documenting my experience, not on one side or another, just coming in with the only bias is to be as unbiased as I can about end results. This is purely exploratory. I am creating a base, knowledge, disclosing where I'm at, what's happening, so I can recall and I can reflect. Because what I will do, what I'm looking for, is to look back 10 years from now and be thinking, what was the real reason behind what you did 10 years ago? Did you fill a gap for the future? Are you helping uncover things that didn't quite exist, but through foresight, you just started talking about things, and are you creating value now for the future and then the next generations that will come behind you? And how are you leading during a time of crisis, during the Fourth Industrial Revolution? How are you leading during times of crisis? What we have going on, political division, national division, city, local, county division. There's a whole lot of stuff going on. And when I look back 10 years from now, and I think, was I intentional? Was I coming from contribution? And if there was something about self, what was self like at that time, in the moment, as a leader at that time? And I would hope that you would journal. Well, this is note to self, by the way. I hope that you would journal and communicate what was happening at that point in time, so that you could look back in the future, or others would look back from the future and view this as a set of videos documenting what was happening, and about mindset, about learning, about accelerated learning, the introduction to the metaverse, gamification, blockchain technology, artificial intelligence, augmented reality, general intelligence, singularity. I can see in the future a need for like a United States Cyber Command that protects the metaverse, protects the people, data, information, identifying agency, proprietary. I can see in the future people being able to register themselves and what they do as like proprietary content. I can see a real sense of change and desire to seek agency at all levels. Agency between the end user, myself, or you. The agency between AI to AI, platform economy to platform economy, and all of the different relationships and sub ancillary businesses and affiliates. And I think while surveillance capitalism is a major concern, I know it's going to get way worse, way more intensified. Surveillance Capitalism by Shoshana from Harvard. I think that is going to escalate to a point where it's complete matrix. It's just going to be really different. It's going to be scary. It's going to be really freaking scary. It's going to be creepy as hell, but it's going to be pretty fucking cool in the right application. The right applications, as I'm exploring and seeing things now, have to do with accelerated learning, experiential learning, being able to create almost anything you want. And I can see a really, really, again, I'll say it again, agency, which gets into, so let's talk a little bit about agency. That's the relationship between us as a user and a, say, Facebook or YouTube, Twitter, however, whatever platform we're using makes up the rules. And when you see or download this and to see this at this point, you had to opt in to whatever platform it is to be a participant. And these days, this past decade, it's all been free. It's all been for free. So when you set up your account and you agree to everything, all the terms and conditions, most have or do not read, or they go to read it and they look at it and they just give it a quick look at all whatever pages there are, and they go back and they click yes. That moment right there is called privacy calculus. Privacy calculus, which now is going to be affiliated with agency. So privacy calculus, what that is I understand it now, and I'm on the front end of really learning what it is, but it has to do with people just automatically agree to things. They're just not paying attention to what Shoshana Zuhoff talks about. That surveillance capitalism is all of these platforms. All they're doing is they're gathering data. It didn't start out to be that way. Google didn't realize that until they really got in it, and then they realized there's a lot of data here. What can we learn from that? So they get the best programmers. They start creating the algorithms to read what the data can do, and they started seeing that us, you and I, are really the product. We are the product. Yes. We agree to sign up for free. Instant gratification. Immediately. Let me see what's on the media. So now we covered the agency side of things, which is the relationship, the agreements that we have as a user to the platform economy that we're involved in. So right now I'm loading this on my phone. Here's where it starts. I agreed to all the terms and conditions of setting up a cellular service through Verizon on my S21, whatever 486 megs phone I have. Agreed to. Yep. I didn't read everything. I read most of it. I've got an active mind. I look at it. I look for things that stick out, but I know at the end of the day, I'm just going to sign it. I'm just going to, boop. I'm going to try out my new phone and want to record a video like this. Well, then there's the phone agreement, and then they have all kinds of crazy ass shit. It's made in China. And at this point, China is really has a quite the infrastructure for their communities, for their people, for their citizens, to protect. China feels to serve. And again, there's a lot of data being gathered. So if the United States or any other countries for that matter start implementing what China is doing, or if China agrees to go over there and create a relationship with another country, and they get to load up, or have the opportunity to build, not load up, China has the opportunity to build the infrastructure using all of China's software, cable, all their technology, everything that China has, they're installing strategically throughout the world. Great partnerships. Let us build out your infrastructure and we will get you set up. We'll maintain it. We'll take care of it. We got your back. Sign here. And countries are doing that. So, 10 years ago, this is what was happening. And in 2032, it'll be really interesting. 2030. Let's just say 2030. We'll cut it down to 8 years. In 2030, what's really going on? What has happened? What does politics look like? And how, at that point, with all of the technology and the potential for a Black Mirror episode, just to give a reference, as a Black Mirror episode, let's just say we're all under AI. It's something has happened so catastrophic that it causes the United States or the world to completely implode someplace. And let's just say that the walls that were being built under the Trump administration that were meant to keep the bad guys out, to create safe borders, to create methods that allowed for passage under rules, under a law that's governed, that's fair and equitable for everybody. Let's just say those walls that were built to keep people out. Let's throw just a wild curveball out there. Here's a slow pitch. Let's just say there's at some point those same walls that were there to keep people out are now to keep people in. How crazy would that be? And let's just say that some of these states, because there's so much strife under this current administration, that states just say, listen, we want to go do our own thing. You guys are kind of whack. We want to go do our own thing. So they separate from the United States and they create like their own little faction. And let's just say other neighboring states do the same thing. And then they create an alliance to work things out. Because they're close to water. They can farm. They have a cool environment. Anyway, I'm going to get to the Muse and test this out, stress this out. Thanks for hanging out with me. These are some of the things I think about. These are some of the things I'm researching. And it'll be really curious to look back in 10 years to see what has happened under this research, which will turn into a longitudinal study and will be my life's passion. So hey, this is Rick Borden, Doctor of Educational Leadership, Dell, at University of Charleston, West Virginia, starting my first video as a portfolio candidate to present all of my works in video form. I'm going to do something a little unique and different and create and walk through my experience as a Dell student and recap each of my classes, the lessons that I've learned from those classes, the authors and the paradigm shifts, and my ability to perform and execute the Dell outcomes. There's 6 Dell outcomes. So that's what this series of videos is about, and it's going to morph into a longitudinal study, and it's day 1 of many, many moons. Take care, everybody. God bless you. Rick Borden. Take care.